Ladies and gentlemen, this podcast, Film Jerks, is truly one of the most spoiler-filled film podcasts ever recorded. It contains ridiculous opinions, which under no circumstances should be listened to by anyone that has a heart condition or anyone who is easily upset by film spoilers. We urgently recommend that if you are such a person, or parent of a young and impressionable child now listening, that you skip to the end of the podcast for our ratings and live your lives free of disagreeing with overtly opinionated people. You'll live longer.
Film Jerks is a group where we, as a community, pick a film to watch, then discuss like little old ladies in a book club. Only our films have decapitations and nude slumber party pillow fights. If you wish to become part of the conversation and become a film jerk, go to the Facebook group and join. Film Jerks can be found on iTunes and Stitcher Smart Radio.
Welcome to another episode of Film Jerks. I am the biggest asshole you will ever meet, Mr. Derek Carey, and along with me are some of the jolliest jerks you'll ever know. With me tonight on the program is number one jerk, Mr. Brian Kirst. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, my man. How about you?
I am lovely. Alongside him is Mr. Glenn Bittner. How are you doing?
Fuck off.
I am so hurt. Then we have Mr. Andrew Shearer. Hi, sir.
Hi.
The overlord of film logic on Film Jerks. You have retained your title, Mr. Zulliger. Jason Zulliger is on the program, folks. How are you doing?
I'm shacktastic, thank you.
The man, the myth, the legend, quite possibly the king jerk, Mr. Mark, the movie man. How are you?
Orangutan, I am just fine, thank you.
Dang.
And the biggest Shakma fan you'll ever meet in your entire life, Miss Ramona Lowry, is on the program with us tonight. How are you doing, miss?
I am ready for baboons and rum. Bring it on.
And then last but not least, Mr. Scott Davis. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm actually teetotaling it tonight. I'm all coffee and water tonight because my allergies have been killing me. So I decided I needed all my faculties for Shakma.
Tonight on Film Jerks, Mr. Scott Davis chose a baboon on the loose film, 1990's Shakma.
It started as a study of human aggression. It led to experiments on primates. But something went wrong. Starring Christopher Atkins, two-time recipient of the National Association of Theater Owners Star of the Year Award. First for Blue Lagoon, now for Shakma. Also starring Amanda Wyss of Silverado and Nightmare on Elm Street. Ari Myers from TV's Kate and Alley, featuring Roddy McDowell as Professor Sorensen. And Shakma, shocking audiences everywhere.
So, Mr. Scott Davis, would you like to tell us what Shakma is about?
This is a film from 1990. It's a film in which there's a bunch of students in a medical building. It looks like a community college building, really. And they're not just medical students. They're also into LARPing. That comes in a little bit later. First, we open up with them putting a chip or removing her chip from the brain of this baboon that Christopher Atkins, yes, Mr. Blue Lagoon himself, was training to be a nice guy, and instead they basically did the exact opposite, and they purposely made Shakma mean for reasons that are just not clear. So then they think that they have to put Shakma to sleep. Shakma's not asleep. Shakma is not dead. Shakma is alive, and Shakma is going to be very pissed off. So later that night, as Christopher Atkins, Amanda Weiss from Nightmare on Elm Street, what's her name from Kate and Alley, Ari Myers from Kate and Alley, and the game master himself, Roddy McDowell, and other assorted victims, as they are running around LARPing their little brains out amongst the hospital, talking about princesses and goblins and wizards. Shakma is loose and is ready to kill them all, and it is a pure red-assed nightmare.
There is your tagline, a red-ass nightmare. So speaking of red-ass nightmares, Mr. Mark the Movie Man, what did you think of Chicago?
Wow. I couldn't believe that it was 100 minutes long.
Yeah, I remember reading, because you and Glenn were two of the first people to post on the message board about this film, and I think all I read was you two crying about how long this movie was. Did it hurt your delicate sensibilities?
No, it was just another one of those films, though, where you have a large cast of victims, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And they shoot their wad within the first hour, and they kill just about everybody except the two principal people. And it's like the hour mark, and most of the people are dead except the guy and the girl, and I'm looking at this going, what the hell are we going to do for another 40 minutes? The baboon's, he's slacking. What the hell? I mean, get this movie. I'm like, we're down to the last two people, and now we're going to stretch this out for another 40 minutes? That was the only problem I had, is that they killed everyone else too quickly.
Glenn, what did you think?
Pretty much the same thing. I think they blew their wad early and then just kind of said, all right, what can we do for the next 45 minutes? Just do 35 minutes of a baboon throwing himself against a door over and over and over again. And then finally, it's like that was my biggest problem, is that they could have chop this down by like 30 minutes, and I think it'd be a much better movie.
Yeah, the movie need two things: a tighter edit and boobs.
Yeah, well, they all.
But it made up for it in red baboon ass, so I think it kind of equals it out. Don't you think, Mr. Shearer?
Yeah, man, that's just sexy as fuck, guy.
That's the bonerific stuff. What do you think, Mr. Kirst?
I'm always about the ass, you know that. So, your mama's ass, it's all good. What amazed me though is monkeys are fucking freaky, so that thing scared me. I mean, like, even though you would think you would kind of lose belief in the fact that this monkey was deadly, and because it's a tiny thing and killing people, but that was a freaky fucking little monkey, and I believed. I was just surprised how much I believed that it was capable of doing what it did. So.
Well, baboons are really vicious.
Yeah.
For my money, now they picked a baboon that for some reason that is smaller than most baboons. It's like one of your smaller baboons that's in this movie, and I've always thought the baboons are pretty freaky. I mean, do you guys remember Lord of Illusions? I mean, whatever you think of that movie, we were all kind of freaked out by the baboons in the opening scenes of that movie, weren't we?
Yeah, isn't there a baboon scene in one of the Damien movies?
I think so.
Probably, it's been ages.
When they're when they are like in one of those drive through the zoo type things.
There's a baboon scene in Catching Fire, which was actually that was a bit more creepy part. I think it was a baboon scene. Anyway, they're big ass monkeys anyway, and they were attacking people. And also in I think it was After Earth, which is the only film that I think I was the only person that ever actually enjoyed that film. So baboons are scary, and this one he was well groomed though, and he really liked that body in the lab. he kept going back to it to gnaw on it. It was,
It was the hungry monkey. Well, I mean, I think part of the film that actually sells this as an actually terrifying film is that most of it's pretty practical. Like, most of it is the actual monkey going ape shit. Bad pun, yeah. But the stuff that they did where it was a stand-in and was a puppet was actually very well done and edited quite well. Ramona, she told me a bunch about some of the behind the scenes trickery with the baboon. You want to kind of tell us about how they achieved some of this?
Well, the baboon was actually from a place that trains baboons for movies. It's called Action Animals. And the baboon's actual name is Typhoon.
Which is a better name than Shakma.
Now, Shakma is a type of baboon, which is not the one that they used in the movie. I'm guessing they picked the species that they went with just because of the mane, because most baboons don't have the mane like that. So that's going to give a much greater presence on screen, I think, than if you were just to have a regular, or not regular looking, I guess, baboon, but more subdued baboon. But they also had a couple mechanical monkeys that they used, and then the part like where he's attacking the girl in the bathroom with and the arms are coming through the door and she's like smashing it, those were also fake monkey arms. Which that part on my end, because I am a huge animal lover, in case anybody didn't know that, this movie actually got approved by like the Humane Society, that everything that happened in the film was, humane, no animals were actually hurt. So that part to me was kind of made me give it a little bit more credit, even though I agree that it was way too long. I'm like,
yeah.
Well, are baboons trainable though?
Yes. You have to remember a lot of these, most of the primates are only a few chromosomes different from us. So they're very intelligent. They can learn many commands. I believe this one knew at least 15 basic commands that they used throughout the movie, where the trainer would be present for all the scenes. He would use things like, tear it down, pull it, throw it, sit down. Anytime you saw him going up against the door all crazy like, the trainer was on the other side. And he was telling him.
Irene Miracle, who did In the Shadow of the Kilimanjaro, which is all about the baboons and the drought attacking. And she said it was terrifying because she says she told me at least that they're the one animal that you cannot train.
It's probably, I would say none of them are 100% trainable. Even, the same thing can happen with a dog.
Yeah, because
there was a lot of baboons though in Kilimanjaro though.
Yeah. She said it was terrifying because
power in numbers. Yeah,
you cannot train them, and they attack her.
Baboons.
Yeah, they were going all Caesar on Irene Miracle.
yeah, and she said it was terrifying.
And I'd say in present company, saying that baboons are and a lot of the primates and stuff are close to us in DNA is not a good indicator of intelligence. If you've ever watched the Film Jerks or listened to us before, we're not the best example of intelligence.
And that's not even counting our pre-show banter.
I don't know. Berserker Hell's Warrior was quite an informative podcast. I don't know what you're trying to say.
Typhoon!
Ramona, thanks for sharing that stuff, because that's really fascinating. I did find one other, because I was going through a couple of the old forums of people who reviewed this film, and on badmovies.org, a couple of the I guess the puppeteers and stuff, or crew people went into the forums and talked. Apparently, the specific way they got Shakma or Typhoon to attack the doors, it's kind of fucked up. It's they would, for all as vicious they are, baboons love fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And they would lure the thing with fruit, like, "Come on, Typhoon, get the fruit."
Why
get
am I not surprised?
And then
you knew it had to be something like that.
And then they would slam the door really hard just beforehand. And so if you looked at Shakma, he's just like, "Fuck you!" Give me the fruit.
Yeah, that monkey. That's one of the things that is just so intimidating, is that when that monkey goes for those doors or goes for anything, there is such a ferocity to it. Like, he's not just trying to get it; he's trying to destroy that door.
Yeah. No, it was it. I thought, I agree with Brian. I think those things are freaky. And I thought Shakma, they did a good job editing this, and between the actual Typhoon footage and the puppetry and stuff, they did a really good job editing it.
The sound dubbing helped too, because
absolutely,
that's where I read too that they had got a soundtrack of baboons screeching and stuff like that, and would play that over, so it wasn't actually him making all of that noise. So
Oh, neat. Okay,
The
cool.
trickery of movies, the magic of movies.
Movie magic.
makes you want a baboon, doesn't it?
No, not in the slightest.
No. Sorry, I grew up at the zoo, so maybe that's just me.
It's kind of funny. I don't know if I was the only one that got the vibe, but at the time this came out, role playing was under fire for being the devil's tool. You had Tom Hanks movie, you had all that. It's like they did a double whammy with this film and giving a message about animal experimentation and at the same time showing the dangers of role playing.
You LARP and you play D&D, you will get fucked up by baboons.
I think the people who made this movie, they watched Mazes and Monsters and said, you know what that needs? It needs a fucked up monkey.
And
because they obviously couldn't afford
Valley in a hideous dress.
Yes.
Oh,
the sexy dress she had. The sexy.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Andrew Shearer, what are your thoughts on this motion picture?
Oh, well, Shakma was already a movie I liked a lot, so that was part of why I was like, I don't have to watch something. But
that's an initiative.
yeah, no. Well, Typhoon's great. I loved him in The Fly. I guess it was the same guy, right?
What? I did not know that.
I think it was.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe I read that he's the same monkey or same baboon that gets into the teleporter.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
He turns into a plate of spaghetti. It was a thing. But I like we were talking about the fact that the monkey is in it so much. Like he really is, basically the Freddy of the movie, and he's in it a lot. And I was similarly impressed with the effects and stuff. But what my friends and I have watched this before. The thing that I like the most about Shakma, other than the black guy living a long time, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But then when he gets it, he really freaking gets it.
And that's the part I don't understand, because supposedly the trainer dressed up as all the people in the movie. Whenever he jumps on somebody, it's the trainer dressed as whatever actor it's supposed to be. But I was like, but it looks like he's really on this black guy.
Oh yeah, he does.
So I'm like, what? So I'd like to know about that. But
that's got to be one of the animatronics. That's got to be one of the robotic ones.
Well, some of them must be, because I don't think they could have faked that shot. It doesn't really show it going to town on Roddy McDowall, but you see, it jump on Roddy McDowall, and it is.
Yeah.
It looks like Roddy. And I love the idea that somebody threw a stuffed animal at a scared Roddy McDowall.
I also like it that McDowell's in it because of his history with Planet of the Apes. I mean, that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, but most of all, and this is something I still can't get over, is I don't know the character's name, but he's like the first one to die. He's got glasses and a beard.
The creepy computer programmer.
I want to know who he discussed with, or maybe he didn't, about the performance that guy gives, the voice that he uses. It's one of the most unusual characters in any movie ever. It's like
I agree with you.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's up there with you remember Face Off when the guy who played one of them's brother based his voice on Robert Crumb's brother from the Crumb documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone here remembers that at all, but the guy just did that really specific delivery where you're just like, you're not in the same movie the rest of these people.
You're not in the same world even. The way I like when I heard him, it made me imagine what a sex predator would sound like. Because it was just like his delivery was so creepy and so slimy for no reason.
No reason at all.
Talking to just normal people, but it sounds like he wants to rape them.
Yeah, it was very rapey.
I think they're just like, you're gonna die first, so it doesn't matter. Do what you want.
What were you saying, Glenn?
Kind of was the only one who wasn't.
I was very
Hollywood
pleased that he was the first guy to die, because if I had to listen to that voice the whole way from the movie, I don't think I would have made it.
You know who he sounded like for real? He sounded like when Winnie the Pooh's got a mouthful of honey. And
is it bad? My mind just painted something really wrong right now.
Bravo!
Shakma kills him. Oh bother!
Oh my gosh, Brian, you were attempting to say something a minute ago.
Oh, he was the only one who wasn't Hollywood handsome. That's for sure, or Hollywood pretty.
He wasn't any kind of pretty.
I know he was. Yeah.
So nothing, not even the radio voice he gets.
Nope, he doesn't get anything. So the first thing that really struck me about this film, once it starts, is that it feels like an early 80s soap opera. It feels like a made-for-TV film. And then, after a while, that kind of fades away. Now, does anybody know offhand? This obviously got theatrical distribution, correct?
No.
It did not.
No, I know about the company that did this. This was Quest Entertainment. Was back when they first opened up Universal Studios Florida. Quest Entertainment was one of the first things to say, we're going to shoot all of our stuff at Universal Studios Florida. And they were doing it for the straight-to-video films. Unless I'm completely mistaken, you guys can check. But and they did stuff like Ninja Academy, The Night Brings Charlie. And they'd have some stuff that were like shot at Universal Florida, like the Ninja Academy, Night Brings Charlie, and then they'd also acquire other films like Luther the Geek. MST3K fans, they're the ones who released Final Sacrifice.
Oh boy,
great.
Rousdower, yeah.
Rousdower.
And so they did this, and then I was looking up to find out whatever happened to them anyway. And if you look up, you will find out that they got their asses sued off because they were one of these people that they decided to just stop paying crew people. They got into troubles with the Teamsters unions. They misrepresented themselves, their relationship with Universal to get, more people involved in their films. And I'm not sure exactly what happened with the cases, But if you go look, you'll find stuff from the Orlando Sentinel stuff, and they got sued. They for like $3 million and everything like that. They cooked the books. It was a big deal, and it was one of the people who was in charge of the studio. The people in charge of them were basically the directors of this film, Tom Logan and Hugh Parks Jr., who have gone on to do other things, mostly with TV and instructional video type stuff. It was like one of those big crash and burn indie studios things, not quite as huge or sordid as Canon, but pretty damn close to.
That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting because it's pretty like apparent right off the bat that this looks like something that was made either for the direct-to-video market or for a television station with the bad toasted credits that are on. But what took me aside after a while, once you get past the first act of this film, is extremely clunky. The way they set up, how these people are locked in this facility and how, the mayhem is supposed to come about. It's just pre-functionary. It's just there to be able to set up the people and to get into the meat grinder. But once the meat grinder starts, like the makeup effects are extremely well done. The robotic effects on the monkey are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, they did an amazing job on this. Jason, what did you think?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was. I do agree that it was a little long. Could have been shorter, but I thought Shakma or Typhoon was extremely creepy and really was effective. And I thought that some of the deaths, particularly the one where Weiss is trying to get out of the vent or whatever in the bathroom, and she gets pulled down, and then she comes back up, and she gets pulled down again. And I thought that was just really, really good. It was, and I think there's part where Shakma's eating the dude's face, kind of picking at it, and so they're just little things that I just really liked, and I thought were creepy and effective, and really did. I was kind of hoping, the whole kind of setup being perfunctory. I agree with that. I was kind of hoping they were going to do a little bit more with the whole LARPing angle to it, but that was pretty lame. And I kept thinking to myself,
lame.
I kept thinking to myself, what are these attractive young medical students playing this fucking retarded LARPing game on a Friday night when they should be drunk or high or
and why is Roddy McDowell so invested in this fucking game?
He takes his LARPing so seriously.
Oh, just
And what got me was, I don't know about you, but something takes me out of the fantasy mood while I'm walking around with a big frickin' walkie-talkie.
Yeah, well,
I'm like sitting here going, really? Like, I'm now going to battle the dragon with my sword. Over.
This was the Zork version of LARP.
yes.
This is the LARP that LARPers make fun of. They're like...
I don't know if anybody ever did this, the LARPing stuff. I was offered it, and I never did it. In the 90s, when that... Anybody remember that Vampire the Masquerade game?
Yep.
Well, I had like a lot of goth friends and stuff, and some of them were attractive. And it's like, yes, we're going to do live-action Vampire the Masquerade, which I never even played the other game. And they says, do you want to join us? Because our, Minneapolis is going to be like our battlefield on this. And I was like, that just sounds really dangerous. No, I'm not walking around in a vampire costume in the warehouse district of Minneapolis at night. No way. But, some people got into this stuff, and, it's like the music video from the Guild People. Now I'm the one who's cool. You ever see that one?
Yeah.
It's kind of like
I think there would have been better ways to set the film up to where they were locked in with this monkey as opposed to having to have this lame LARPing game situation. It could have been anything from the monkey just breaks out and somebody accidentally trips the panic alarm and all the doors lock. And then they're stuck in there. Instead, we have to suffer through like a half hour of just the most boring shit to get to the good stuff.
Most of their budget went to that sophisticated computer program that they had
on their Commodore 64.
Commodore 64.
That the rapist programmed.
That tracked people in it. I'm like sitting there going, really? Wow, he was ahead of his time, man. What's he doing in medical school for? What I found interesting, though, is that they tried to add the humor to it with the whole, like, trying to get attention by throwing forks through the grate.
Oh, my God. Okay, please set the scene up a little bit more, Mark, because this was one of the most cringeworthy yet hilarious parts of this entire
if I remember it correctly, they're locked down and they're trying to get communication out and they can't. And the one guy's girlfriend is hanging outside the building waiting for him, and she's just sitting there, got her music cranked. And
horrible music. No one would listen to that music.
No, not a single person.
Not even in that decade.
I hate that when they do that in movies. It's just like really lame instrumental bullshit music. She would have been jamming out to hair metal or something.
She would have.
For severe tire damage.
And so we have Jailbait in her harem costume going, oh, look, there she is. And so she goes and grabs stuff and tries to shove it through the grate to the car that's across the street.
Yeah.
She's trying to shove things through the little grate as if she's going to get enough velocity through it. And they start running out of things, so then they start looking for forks. And
one does go through her sunroof.
Well, the thing is, then she gets smart and decides to shine a flashlight out, and she actually gets her attention, and the chick's basically like, dorks, and then leaves.
That was awesome.
It was great.
My thing was that girl that did that, she's set up as like the secondary romantic interest of the film, and she looks 12.
I was going to say that's kind of rapey in itself.
I didn't believe she was a student. I actually thought she was like a younger sister.
Who the Ari Myers in the car? Ari Myers, the girl in the car.
Ari Myers.
Ari Myers, yeah.
No, I think she was a younger girl. She just had a crush for whatever reason on Christopher Atkins' character.
She was the wasn't it the guy who ended up being Nemesis? That was his little sister.
Yeah, his little sister.
Okay, so that was correct. See,
she was
part of this movie. I was so bored with it. I just there were parts of it I was drifting in and out, and it wasn't until the monkey finally went apeshit that I was like 100% invested in this thing.
Yeah, but I'd rather the rest of the movie be awesome with the monkey stuff be good and have that stuff be shitty than the other way around and have some like, really great story and stuff and then the monkey stuff blows. I found before I forget, man, I found an interview with Christopher Atkins where he talks about his whole career, but he has 2 things to say about Shakma that I think are hilarious if you guys want to hear.
Yes.
Before I forget. The first quote says, "The animal is terrifying as it gets. They had special trainers for him ready for anything because the animal can tear flesh right off your bone in a single bite. No women were allowed on the giant sound stage if they were menstruating because the baboon would smell it and go crazy." Right, but here's the best part. The only thing that went wrong was the baboon would get hard when he got mad. Wait, hold on. Meaning the baboon's penis. Okay, so they ended up.
We understood.
We got it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So they ended up spending a lot of extra money to airbrush it out.
See, we need the uncut version.
Oh, right.
I just thought legit one too.
I was just thinking, man. It's like it's the fucking that first quote is about how scary he was. I'm like, nothing scarier than a mad ass monkey with a boner right.
Yeah,
crazy.
No wonder Roddy McDowell looks terrified.
Imagine like he'll rip my face off, and it's like Serbian monkey.
He's gonna rip your head off and fuck you while he's doing it.
That's why they need to remake Shakma, which was what I was getting to. They just need to play that angle up a little bit more. You know,
it's a Serbian film too. Serbian baboon.
That's right. Beware the lipstick.
You could tell Christopher Atkins was trying to like do something though. Like I mean, he's not the most talented guy in the world, but I thought his face was really interesting. He had that goofy, like when he was creepy goofy, like when he was making out with Amanda Weiss and shit like that. He would do this really wide-eyed, weird kind of goofy look. And then once the shit went down and everyone died, which surprised me as well. Is that everyone? I mean, it was a bleak fucking film after a while.
Yes, it was.
All the you expect Amanda Weiss because she's the female heroine, the final girl to survive. She doesn't. The young girl, Ari Myers, gets it. It's a bleak fucking film. But I did notice he was trying to do something with his face. I mean, he got very. It was very animated with his facial expressions in that first half of the film, and then he got very intense and serious and drawn. I would not say he's like a great actor by any means, but you could tell he was at least trying to do something.
Oh well, he had to do something because that blood on his shirt was airbrushed to look like shit.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It looked like some weird design. It didn't look like it was blood. It was like pretty bad. I gotta make my face look awesome because fuck this shirt.
This is really the first film I saw where
shirt is a whole bunch of.
I love when he found the body in the lab, though. The look on his face. Yeah. He just stood there frozen for a while, like.
There was a lot of instances where, like, you remember that scene where there's the 2 doors in that lab room, and they run in, and Shakma follows him, and then he shuts the door behind him, but doesn't go to the other door and shut it, and just lock the damn monkey inside that fucking room. He leaves the door open.
Yes,
it's obvious. This is what you gotta do. Nope, we better let the monkey go ape shit, just run around and.
That was what got me with this movie is the fact that they were so. These are supposed to be med students. They were so stupid. The whole bathroom scene was like, oh, he stopped pushing against the door. I'll just walk away from the push door and I'll go in the bathroom stall because there's no way that 1 foot tall baboon can fit underneath the stall door.
That's why they make most horror movies with dumbass teenagers, because it makes more sense that they just do stupid shit.
Maybe they were first year. Come on.
There you go.
Allowances must be remade, Ramona, and there you go.
Well, that's the thing is that there was like some of this film I was surprised because I had not seen it before I picked it. All the film, I had not seen it.
That's the best way to do it, Scott. That's the best way to do it.
I knew I wanted to do it. I knew I wanted to see it, though, and I knew it was the type of film I wanted to, put up for voting. So I watched it, and I was expecting it to just be cheeseball all the way through. I was impressed that there were so many parts where I'm like, geez, this is really spooky and totally unpredictable. Amanda Weiss gets it an hour into the movie, and then you're thinking, oh, my God, well, I guess Ari Meyer or whatever her name is going to be the Kate Nally girl is going to be the holy shit, no way. Everybody there's like a lot of stuff and the effects were done well, but that's the good part. There is a part of this movie that is just laughably terrible, and that is these huge gaping plot holes that you could just navigate the International Space Station through. And why didn't they lock the baboon in a room? If they could lock themselves in a room, why didn't they do that? No, I was watching the film thinking, okay, I must have missed the part where they're not able to call out to 911 until towards the end, Christopher Atkins, after everyone is already dead, starts to call 911.
That's the best part of the movie, when he stops and then he Rambos himself. That was the shit. That was the shit. That part, was so good, man. I bet you, because they showed this at Cinema Family, and they at the silent movie theater, and they had the trainer there to do Q&A. And a friend of mine who was just here with me for a week actually was there, so she was kind of letting me know some of the stuff that they said. But she said the audience just went nuts when Atkins just doesn't call 911, and then it's like, fuck it. And then the next thing you know, man, it opens up and he's just ready to go, man. And it's like the only thing they didn't do, because come on, man, they were obviously padding things out. They didn't do the montage of him putting his shit on. Why didn't they do that? Right.
That was the weirdest scene when he didn't call 911 and he had that phone. It was so it was blocked very strange, and his reaction to it was just so delayed that I was like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Hey, I bet you it was his idea to do that. I bet you.
I still can't think of the logic of why he kept moving the bodies around. There's that great part where Amanda Weiss is trying to keep Shakma in the thing, and she's holding the door, and he has just found the body of Roddy McDowell. So I'm like, okay, well, he's going to take the thing out of the elevator, sure, so that the people can get in the elevator and stuff. Yeah. No, it's she does a double take and looks behind her, and he's running with this box, dragging his body down the hall. I'm like, Chris, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I think the main thing to take away from this film is, if you're going to get enjoyment out of this, you forget and just let go of any of the stupid shit that goes on in this, and just really enjoy the fact that you're getting a pretty intense killer. There are other movies with monkeys like this, like Monkey Shines, like George Romero's Monkey Shines, which I think is a really good movie as well. But it just isn't as intense and as graphic.
It doesn't have as much monkey. It doesn't have as much. That's the thing about Shakma, is why I've recommended it to people in the past. Is you wouldn't believe the amount of animal action that it has, real ass animal action. They wouldn't make a movie like this now.
I kind of liked Shakma because he'd always go back to that same exact body, chew on the face, be sitting there going, you know what, I think I'm going to kill someone else. And just take off and go kill someone else. Then he comes back and chews on the same face. He's like...
Maybe the dude's face was tasty.
It must have been, because he kept going back.
Wait, the first guy's face? There's no way that tasted good.
The rapist? No, not the rapist, but the other dude.
No, never.
Why does this taste like children and failure?
Yeah, why does it taste like children?
Was anyone else disappointed, though, with the reveal of the black guy? That was the best kill, with the black guy in the elevator, and then when he flips him over, it's just a little bit of blood.
That was really disappointing.
To be fucking chewed to shit, and his ears hanging off, and his eyeballs hanging out, and it's a little bit of blood around the neck, and I was what the fuck?
They spent all the money on the gore in the very beginning, because they knew they had to have blood in the very beginning.
I'm gonna tell you right now that I thought they might go with the angle that Shakma was actually in his head, and he had gone around and killed all these people.
I thought he was up to something, but he wasn't. It was the weird thing. I thought he was up to something because he was acting weird.
I don't know if it was his acting or what, but with him always collecting, grabbing the bodies and moving them and that, I really thought that maybe, just maybe, they were going to take the angle of, because they were doing the whole LARPing thing and that, and it had that kind of anti-role-playing game thing, anti-animal experimentation. I thought they were trying to combine those two, and for a while I felt like, are they playing the angle of him actually doing these things and he's actually Shakma? But what got me is that wasn't true was when I think it was Weiss who died in the bathroom.
Yes.
When she died, then I realized that they weren't, because I'm like sitting there going, he wouldn't have killed her because he was just all up about her.
If they would have done that, Mark, I would have literally thrown my controller at the TV. I would have flipped my TV over. I would have lit my house on fire, and I would have walked away.
I'm not saying it was a good angle. I'm just saying the way it was directed and the way he was acting, it had that feeling like that's what they were possibly going to. But
you think the people that wrote the rest of it could have come up with something like that?
That's true. Maybe I was going too deep with it.
That's very interesting, though, Mark. I mean, when you say it like that, it actually kind of makes sense. It really does.
For most of the film, it does. You know, at least for the first kills in that, it's like, you know, you don't see him, you see them already dead, and he's all wigged out because his monkey died. So I thought for
maybe
a while
he was trying to clean up Shakma's mess because he was bonded to him.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Maybe
you guys are giving them way too much credit now.
Yeah.
We're going too deep.
Yeah, you remember that portion where I said to please turn off your brains and just enjoy a monkey banging against doors? It applies right now.
No, I don't think people watch movies like this to see people do logical things. You know, that's just really not the point. I mean, it's like, Shakma, what do we want? We want the baboon to kill people. Check.
Well, technically, we weren't really questioning the monkey's motives.
Yeah.
Kind of questioning all the people.
Yeah, the monkey was pure. The monkey definitely, like, it knew what it was doing. The people were the dumbest fucking people on Earth.
The thing is, I guess if you throw yourself in that situation, if some freaky-ass homicidal monkey is flinging itself at you,
it would be my
I don't know if I would act logically. You know, I don't know if I would keep my wits about me. I think I would be pretty fucking freaked out. So maybe it makes sense that they were stupid.
I don't know. I think I would at least, you know, maybe find a broom or some kind of really.
They could have just tranquilized him.
I'd throw a fucking desk at that.
Yeah.
It's something. The only guy who had thought of anything was the guy who grabbed the sulfuric acid and dropped it on himself.
That was you knew that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was a freaking Three Stooges routine. This guy's going to pour this with one hand, and it's going to fly on his face. You knew that's what was going to fucking happen.
Yeah, I think that's what makes Shakma, though, interesting, in that the character is really pure, primal rage, and that's what makes it scary, is the fact that there's nothing false about the monkey. There's nothing supernatural about the monkey. The baboon, I should say. He just is, and he's acting a little bit, you know, exaggerated, but you could see that baboon doing those things very easily versus a slasher or a killer where you have to set up more motive. Here, you don't need it. It's a pure, natural animal acting like you would imagine he would if he was just a little bit aggressive or a lot aggressive. And I think that's what adds to the creepiness and makes Shakma, the character, an interesting and scary, more scary than maybe a human killer, is because he is so pure nature and it can't be controlled, to sound cliche. But
so, Mark, basically what you're saying is if Rob Zombie remade this, it would be a mistake for him to show his Shakma's redneck parents.
Probably, yeah.
Yes. I think that is 100%.
I want to see his mom.
To make him less scary.
There'd be 100% less skull fucking in that movie.
You know, how Shakma showed up at the lab and how Shakma had these dreams about unicorns and the whole 9 yards. Yeah, it just...
And a white horse in the middle of the street.
Yes, exactly. Oh. But then it would be capped off by Sherry Moon Zombie's ass.
Yes.
Oh, but they have to make it red, though.
They have to make it red.
And now, we take a short break.
Hey, good looking. Want a date? Are you looking for a sleazy good time? Then check out the podcast that gives you more half and half bang for your buck than any other show out there. Exploited Cinema. Join hosts Bat32, Dale Roy, and The Goat as they bring you sleazy and cheesy movie reviews each month. They'll also bring you engrossing interviews with indie filmmakers and horror historians. So what are you waiting for? Put your money on the dresser and get busy, or else stop wasting my time. I need a man-sized podcast, not one for little boys. And that means exploited cinema.
Listen up, suckers. Visit Exploited Cinema today at www.exploitedcinema.blogspot.com. You dig?
Okay, so now we're moving on to the section in Film Jerks where we give our ratings. Now, if you're not familiar with the podcast and with what Film Jerks is, we do it on a click it or fuck it scale, because most of the movies that we all do, actually 100% of all the movies we do are from Netflix. So if you liked it, you clicked it and you watched it. If you didn't like it, you said fuck it and let's just pass it on and move along and watch something else, because there's 1.5 million other pieces of shit to try and watch. So Brian Kirst, is this a click it or fuck it movie?
It's a click it.
Glenn, click it or fuck it?
As drawn out as it is, just for the kill scenes and the savagery of Typhoon or Shakma, I'd say click it.
Mr. Shearer, click it or fuck it?
Oh man, this is definitely click it. I mean, when you watch a movie like this, you got to remember Friday the 13th has a lot of like spots in it where nothing's happening too. It's like that girl going through the kitchen for a really long time, and when you see that, you realize it's like this movie was made for people to watch a little bit of it and then make out a little bit during it. And so if you're at home, you could be on your phone and shit, and you could still enjoy. But we gotta remember is like a couple things. One, this isn't a slasher like we talked about. This has got an actual real ass monkey in it that's killing people, like really real. And if they made this now, he would be CG. It would be some CG monster. So that's one of the things that makes it really, really cool is that they did so great with the animal action. There's not a whole lot of movies like it, period. And those parts are really, really effective. But also for horror movie fans, Amanda Witt's death in this movie, I think it's not as good as her death in Nightmare on Elm Street, but you can tell they were trying to get there with it.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal.
Yeah, it really, really, really is. But it does have a good cast and stuff. But mainly, I would just say that you gotta put everything in context. This is as much of an animal horror movie. It is like almost like institution horror, like that kind of stuff, like Bad Dreams and movies like that, where everybody's like just confined to this one hospital, whatever, and people are dying. It's kind of in a couple of genres. So I found it fascinating, and again, Typhoon, pretty freaking rad. But mostly, it's all about that weird ass guy in the beginning that he thought he was in an episode of Twin Peaks, but it was in Shakma with a Blue Lagoon guy.
Jason, click it or fuck it?
Absolutely click it. I mean, I think you have to have the right attitude towards it, but if you do, I think it's highly entertaining. Absolutely would recommend it.
Mark the Movie Man.
Oh, definitely click it. I think it will surprise people for being a direct-to-video film, for being shot on a budget that it was, that it had so much real monkey scenes in it that it does actually have, along with the disturbing, cheesy, bad acting parts, some really dark moments and some pretty doggone scary moments, namely with Shakma. And I think if you can look at that and get through some of the dead parts in it, much like what Andrew said with the slashers and that, I think you could really enjoy this film, and I think it would surprise a lot of people and make you kind of question going to the zoo again. So definitely click it.
Ramona?
Click it all the way.
That's a big shock to me.
I know. I'm so easy to read. But no, I really do. I think this was an amazing, and humane animal flick, great horror in it, and I'm kind of upset at myself that I didn't find it sooner, because I feel that I would have benefited from it.
Scott Davis.
It's got its flaws. It probably would have played better at 85 minutes, and there's, the plot holes and everything. But you know what? This combines, like, complete cheesy, what the hell's going on with genuine brutal horror. And like Andrew and Ramona both pointed out, they don't skimp on showing the action. Most films of this type, they would all tracking shots and put a red filter over the camera and call it Shakma vision or something. They don't do that here. It's a really good. I say click it all the way. I really liked it.
I agree across the board with every single last one of you. This is an absolute click-it film. This is kind of the perfect example of a movie where you turn your brain off and you just enjoy it for what it is. It literally has some of the most intense scenes of animal savagery I've ever seen on camera. And honestly, I could, without the aid of you guys, I couldn't remember anything else of the film other than the scenes where the monkey is literally going so apeshit that you're just like, how are they keeping that door shut? It's like, how do they have the power to be able to hold this? You guys kept saying it was a little monkey. The monkey was bigger. It came up past the freaking doorknob. That's a huge fucking monkey.
But for a baboon.
Isn't he scarier, though, knowing you had a boner, too?
Yeah, 100%. Knowing that I would not only get my face eaten off, but then possibly be fucked in the abdomen by him, it is quite intimidating.
Yeah, I assume you hope in that order as well.
Well, maybe at the same time, I don't know. It all depends how the day is going for me.
They did cut away from that Ari Myers' death pretty darn quick after she's like tackled on the back. Well, let's just hope that there's not like a director's cut somewhere where something just horrible happens.
Let's hope that there is.
Yeah, an unaired episode of Full House.
See, that's what I kept saying. That's funny you bring that up because my wife watched it and she too really enjoyed this film. And she's like, my God, doesn't she look like? And I immediately said, one of the girls from Full House.
I had it in my notes. I had, who is this Jodie Sweetin looking girl? And then I amended it, like scribble. Oh my God, it's the kid from Kate and Alley.
I mean, Full House really could have benefited from a baboon.
Yeah,
with a boner running through the house.
You get rid of the cut it out jazz and bring in more baboon.
Just kill everybody in that cast except for Lori Loughlin, and I'd be totally cool with Shakma taking out Full House. Because I had a crush on Lori Loughlin from Secret Admirer in the 80s. So
who don't you have a crush on, Scott?
Well, it's a lonely life being a film geek, man.
To get serious, I think one of the main things, and I stated this before, that's so effective about this film is, one, the editing is in the attack sequences, the way they get you to believe that the monkey is actually doing all this to mix the animatronic and the puppetry and the actual monkey is what sells this film.
Mm-hmm.
It literally, this movie could have been a 45-minute movie and would have still been quite amazing because it could have just been the monkey stuff and it would have been. I still say check it out. 100 minutes is a little bloated. You know what? Go get a beverage, get something, hang out, watch it with your friends where you can sit and you can chat, you can sit and bullshit like Andrew said, where you can do other stuff. And then once the monkey gets on the screen, it's full bore. You're going to be riveted. You're going to be stuck to your seat because it's that good.